I am a castaway, stranded somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, but I will survive.
What the heck just happened, dude? I just did a massive fart.
I am an expert at survival. To complete 100%, I'll have to defeat all 3 underwater bosses, complete all 37 achievements, I'll have to max out all of my skills involving hunting so many fish, and I've got to do my best to conquer the Pacific and find my way back to civilization. Welcome to 100% of Stranded Deep. Look at this bloke, he's ready for anything.
He looks ready to enter some data. Oh yeah, I see where this is going. Yep. As anticipated. Can we crash already? Alright, good. Oh dear, I'm swimming. Can I get the laptop?
Now is not the time for laptops, because my lovely private jet had crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Now was the time for survival.
Oh goodness, here's a life raft. What the heck? Apparently I made it to the life raft. Day 1. Okay.
Did I just see a shark swimming by? I discovered there were some survival essentials in the raft storage, and I soon opened my backpack to great reward.
Open your backpack. Oh, I got an achievement already. I'm popping off.
I grabbed this paddle and slapped it into the water, and there was a small island just nearby, so I figured that was the place to go.
Don't pop... Ooh. Stingray. Don't pop the raft. Oh, fishy. Oh, can I get it?
Once I was in the shallows, I placed my paddle back in its spot, and I dragged the life raft safely onto land to ensure it didn't drift away.
Come with me, glorious raft. Oh, there's crabs.
I grabbed the rations and bandages from the storage, and I began exploring the island in search of resources.
How do I...
As you can see, I found a rock, but I was unable to smash the crab with it.
What? Who do you think you are? This is unacceptable. Wait, what? Ooh, quick craft. Stone tool.
Just like that, I'd crafted my first item and earned another achievement.
Now I can stab.
It was more of a wild slash, but I managed to vanquish the enormous crab.
Oh yeah, delicious. I need to work on my crab accuracy.
I continued harvesting the great bounty offered up by this lovely island.
A juga plant. Aloe vera. Ooh, palm sapling. That's got some fibrous leaves for me. Can I attack it? I can. Ow! Oh, dude, what the heck? Is that a confused banana? Why is this... What? Dude, what the heck? I leveled up hunting?
I needed fibrous leaves in order to craft lashing, so these palm saplings were my friends.
What is this? Is it wires to step on? I don't think so. I can make lashing now? Boom.
Lashing is made from 4 of the leaves, and by combining the lashing with a stick of wood and the stone tool I'd crafted earlier, I made a refined knife. My inventory was rather full though, so I was gonna need to figure out how to store stuff.
Hold F to see a survival watch. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm getting sunburned. Oh yeah, my arm is red. SPF is bad. UV's high. Food time. It's the 11th of April. Okay. Oh, my current stats. Hold E to skin. Oh, vicious. Oh, violent.
That lovely skinning effort was possible thanks to my new knife, and that was my 3rd achievement. And now I had some meat to cook. As I attacked this bush, it became evident that I needed to cool down.
I got sunstroke. I'm in the shade now, bro. What's the problem?
I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do about the sunstroke, but I attacked a ficus tree and began scrolling through my crafting options. I found a 4th wooden stick here, and that was all I needed to make a campfire, so I found a nice spot for it on the sand.
I keep saying I need to cool down, so I feel like we gotta get in the ocean. I believe that has healed me of sunstroke immediately. You should also drink the ocean water. That's very good for you.
I'm not sure if taking a dip actually helped with the sunstroke, but it seemed I was all good for now. I needed 2 more wood with which to make kindling, but I couldn't see any sticks lying around, so I ravaged this ficus tree, which earned me a harvesting level.
Oh yeah, the ficus tree has bestowed many sticks.
Leveling up things like harvesting or hunting improves efficiency and damage dealt. I made some kindling, but I think I might be an idiot.
How do I use the kindling? Oh dear. That's not what I wanted.
Leveling up craftsmanship unlocks more advanced crafting options. And this is how you use the kindling.
Alternate pressing left and... Okay. Left, right, left, right. Ooh, oh yeah. Oh, that would burn. That would burn. Oh yeah.
I had a session skinning the crabs I'd murdered.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I skewered 1 piece of crab meat and there it goes cooking over the fire. I dumped some of the stuff clogging up my inventory and then it was time to climb a palm tree.
Coconut, coconut, coconut. Coconut. Wait. Oh dear. Oh, coconut.
I attacked the coconut with my knife and it was ready for consumption.
Drinkable coconut. Alright, we'll drink some coconut juice.
I'd successfully begun cooking food and I'd managed to drink a nutty beverage, so my survival prospects were looking up.
Coconut half. Can I make a bra now?
My cooking level went up even though the small crab meat wasn't yet done cooking, and I had a session chopping down multiple ficus for their wood, which ended with another harvesting level up. The crab meat was done cooking, so I grabbed it and got another piece of meat on there as I began crafting an axe.
I need a stone tool. Yeah. I think I just used a stone from over here. That's handy.
And before long, I had my first crude axe. I continued my lovely strategy of dumping stuff willy-nilly, and I swung the axe to chop down a palm tree. Once the tree fell, I attacked it some more until the big old frondy leafy bit at the top came off, and then once it was off, I attacked it even more, and soon I had some individual fronds at my disposal. Some more crab meat was ready, but I was confused.
I don't understand where the cooked crab meat. Oh, there's the cooked crab meat. Oh, I see.
The raw and cooked meat were in the same stack, so I hadn't been able to find the cooked stuff. But it was good I'd sorted that out because according to my watch, I was a little hungry. So I gobbled the 2 cooked crabs.
Much less hungry now. Good. I'm thirsty though.
I needed more fibrous leaves in order to make more lashing, but I couldn't find any more palm saplings. But this yucca tree provided 5 leaves, so that was a good find. It also had some fruit on it, which I picked.
Can be used to grow yucca in a farming plot. That's how you can farm fibrous leaves. I like that. Fast craft lashing. Oh wait, what? I just accidentally made a crude spear. Oh well, I guess I can stab stuff now. Stab it. Why are there bats here? That makes no sense. What are you doing out in the ocean, you big dinguses? Come here, let me stab you.
As I attempted to sort out the mess of items I'd collected, the bats kept being silly.
Can these bats go away, man? It's so noisy.
And I finally managed to craft a shelter out of 1 lashing, 4 palm fronds, and 3 sticks.
Seems good to me.
The tutorial had been straightforward so far, but now it wanted me to make a water still.
Cloth. Where am I getting cloth from? I guess I can probably salvage from out there. I might be able to find some cloth. I need to make a loom. All right, we got some work to do. Can I make storage? I do love storage.
I was getting the sense that it was going to take me a while to figure out how to make the water still. So for now, my only way to quench my thirst was by stealing milk from coconuts.
Oh, coconut. Oh, coconut.
It seemed each palm tree had just 1 coconut. I grabbed a few before cracking them open.
My thirst meter is down at 1 square. Drink a coconut. Oh, the coconuts are they're not that great, are they?
I ended up drinking from all 4, and I think that may have been a bad idea. It appears if you consume too many coconuts, your poop gets a little runny.
What the heck just happened, dude? I just did a massive fart. Huh? What? No, I'm crapping myself and now I'm... What? Why do I have diarrhea? As soon as I start replenishing my thirst with some flaming coconuts, I poop absolutely everywhere. Where is it? It should be on the sand here somewhere. How am I supposed to deal with the diarrhea? I feel like drinking a bunch of coconut juice is gonna make it worse. Shove a cork up your butt or something, bro. Come on.
Too much coconut milk had caused the leaky butt, but it was my only option, so I drank some more to hopefully alleviate my dehydration.
At least I'm not dehydrated anymore, but I will poop again. Like, look how fast it's going because of the diarrhea. Okay, it's gone. All right. I need this water still. Hobo stove? I need this water still ASAP.
So that attempt to quench my thirst had achieved the opposite, as the diarrhea had flushed out every electrolyte in the universe. I made another lashing, which I used to craft a tool belt.
New hotkey slots unlocked.
I was hoping it would mean more bag space, but it only unlocked a hotkey.
How do I get a coconut flask, man?
It was nowhere to be found in my crafting menu, so I was stumped.
Well, it's a beautiful sunrise. Or moonset. What the heck?
I'd survived a day and a night, but I was rather dehydrated. I tracked down another coconut, which helped take the edge off. I then accidentally used a glitch. I made an empty drinkable coconut pile, which is a method of storage you can utilize with many resources. But there's a glitch where if you do this with empty coconuts, when you pick them up again, they will have randomly refilled. At the time, I had no idea what the heck had happened, but that accidental glitch saved me as I went from 1 square on the thirst meter up to 3. I also realized I was able to eat the meat of the coconut halves, so I chomped on those. Luckily, no diarrhea began to flow. I still desperately needed a coconut flask, but I remained too stupid to figure out how to make one, so I instead went for a swim.
Random old boat here? Well, that's what we want.
Yes, indeed. I am very fond of finding random containers of loot. I spied another on the inside of the dilapidated boat's cabin, but I ran the one on my shoulder back to shore first.
Yes, sir. Days survived 1. Yes. Label maker. A refined hammer. Oof. Cloth, nice. Duct tape, nice. There's another one of these bananas. That is a big fish. I just realized that I might get eaten. There's a strong chance I might get eaten if I'm in the ocean.
I grabbed the second container and managed to avoid being eaten on the swim back to shore.
Crude fishing spear. Ooh, flare gun. Ooh. Air tank. Vehicle fuel part.
I then made a grave mistake, as I held this compass in my hand for no particular reason. More on that later.
Well, I got a fishing spear and the storms are brewing, so I feel like it's a perfect time. I'm thirsty again, dude. How do I
finally decided to just Google it.
Oh, I was missing the entire menu. There's a consumables crafting menu. Oh, and there's a story crafting menu. Megalodon trophy? A buyer trophy? Aircraft rudder part? Oh, here we go. Farming. Oh my gosh. I can make a gyrocopter? What are you talking about, bro? There's a massive building menu as well. I can build a sick base. Well, I know how to make a coconut flask now, but I need to find a flaming coconut. I drank all the coconuts on the face of the earth.
I found a cura fruit, and my assumption was that coconut coconuts would reappear on these palm trees at some point, and that'd give me what I needed to make a water still. In reality, coconuts do not respawn, so this was not a good plan. At least I collected a lot of sticks. I found another container in this wrecked boat. It held some corrugated scrap, leather, and more vehicle parts. I also caught a sardine with a fishing spear.
Get some, Nemo. Come here, Nemo. Oh, I can't kill Nemo.
I caught a few more sardines and then tentatively swam through the gloom towards this bigger wreck. I climbed atop it and found another container, and this is when I finally worked out you can hold numerous containers in your inventory. You don't have to carry them all on your shoulder. I found yet more vehicle parts in this locker, and on the deck of the ship were some tied up barrels. When I went and had a look-see inside this hole in the hull, I was careless with my footing.
Oh, dude. Why? Poisoning? From what? Oh, the sea anemone? Not the sea anemone. I got done in by a sea anemone. I got lumps on my arm, man. Amputate. Amputate immediately. Don't panic. Don't panic. Antidote. That's what I need. What is this? A PP plant? I don't have a flaming PP plant.
Not only did I lack a PP, I was close to dehydration. At least I'd earned some levels. I decided to sleep, and somehow neither the poison nor the dehydration killed me overnight. But my thirst meter had now bottomed out, so I think I was losing health from both the poison and the dehydration.
Oh, my crab meat is spoiled. Gross. Put it there.
I made a fire pit by placing some rocks around the fire, and it was very beautiful. I skinned those sardines I'd caught yesterday and began cooking them over the flames. And then I was saved. Coconut!
Did that respawn or I just never find that coconut? It wasn't a weird spot. Okay, we're back. We're back in the game, boys. Coconut flask. Yes.
Cloth was the other tricky part of this recipe, but I'd found some of that in the boats, so I was finally able to place down a water still. It somehow started with 1 dollop of water in it already, so I was able to stave off my dehydration. But to operate these things, you need fibrous leaves or palm fronds. Fibrous leaves were at a premium, and I had none to spare, so I chopped down a palm tree and stole its fronds and placed them in there.
What the heck is this contraption? How does this thing work?
I don't know how it magically makes water, but it does. So I didn't argue, despite my confusion. The tutorial now wanted me to craft a hammer, but I already had one from my looting spree, so I whipped it out and got busy constructing. I used 4 sticks to build a wooden foundation and began hammering away. And with that, I'd officially completed the tutorial, which earned an achievement, and I was now on my own. The game wasn't gonna give me any more guidance. A couple of scoops of water had been produced by the still, so I drank that up, and it seemed as long as I had leaves available to shove into this thing, my thirst was now looked after. And while coconuts do not respawn, these palm saplings do, so I had a renewable source of fibrous leaves too. I also had sunstroke and poisoning. It was a lonely journey surviving stranded deep in the Pacific. But you know what's not lonely? The chaotic massive multiplayer world of One State. Big thanks to One State for partnering on this video. One State is a massive mobile role-playing game set in a living, LA-inspired city where every single character you see is a real player. The economy, the factions, and the struggle for power are shaped in real time by you, the player, along with every other player looking to make their mark on the world. You have the choice to become a respected officer of the law, a notorious crime lord, a business genius, or a legend of the streets. Recently, a huge update to the game added fame progression, so every action will contribute to your notoriety, whether you're enforcing the law or breaking it. The city is shaped by 2 forces, official factions and player clans. Factions like the police, medics, and military enforce order, while player-run clans fight for influence. You can join the system or build your own empire from the shadows, and there's always the third option of being a lone wolf if that's more your style. The recent update also added diplomacy. Gangs can now form alliances and declare wars, so the chaos has never been juicier and the stakes have never been higher. Between running from the police, or collecting an insane selection of vehicles, or engaging in street battles and getting yourself arrested, or dominating the real estate market, or perhaps just hanging out at some social meetups, there is plenty to do. You can of course customize your character, your vehicles, and your property as you acquire wealth in a quest to dominate the player-driven economy. And there's real-time voice and text chat, so you can get up to mischief with anyone you meet. The recent update also added the radio. Yes indeed, you can blast some tunes while you drive around the city. Use the QR code or the link below to download One State now. And don't forget to use my promo code Floydson to get a $10,000 bonus with which to start your journey. You can also head to onestate.com to claim daily rewards and access exclusive offers. Okay friends, back to Stranded Deep. I spent some time organizing the camp a little, and the fight to stay on top of my food and water needs was certainly not an easy one. But by the time I'd cooked up and eaten a few sardines, my hunger was at least under control. And as soon as the water still produced some water, I slurped it up. The tutorial was done, but because I'd never crafted a hammer, it was still telling me to make one. So I did, just to get rid of the text in the top left.
I'm gonna run out of resources on this island, it feels like.
There were infinite fish in the sea, and infinitely renewing fibrous leaves, but everything else appeared to be one and done. And even though palm saplings were regrowing, it wasn't fast enough for my leaf needs. I made sure the water was still constantly producing by keeping it topped up with palm fronds, but I was still poisoned.
Where'd I get a PP plant from, man?
I hoped a nice sleep might help with the poison situation, but no. When I awoke, I still had a lumpy, bumpy arm, but a bunch of water had been produced overnight, and the poison wasn't killing me very fast, so I figured I was fine. My hope was it would just wear off eventually. so I just kept on top of the survival basics, and I decided to eat one of the 3 rations I'd started with. It was quite nutritious, as it completely filled up both my thirst and hunger meters. When I saw these yucca trees had regrown, I rejoiced, because fibrous leaves were definitely a huge bottleneck in my crafting. This yucca harvest allowed me to craft multiple lashings. I used one of them to craft a crude hoe, and when you're holding a hoe, you're able to make farms, so I used a second lashing to craft a wood farming plot, which I placed over here. I grabbed a yucca fruit and planted it, because the whole point of this farming endeavor was to grow more fibrous leaves. Not food, leaves. How about that for efficient survival?
Well, I planted yucca.
I swam back out to this boat and discovered a way I could get inside of it.
Look at my raggedy pants, dude.
Inside, I found 2 containers which I snaffled up before returning to the lovely reef.
Big old fat fish, bro.
There was an enormous mast over in this direction, so I swam a little closer to confirm that there was an even bigger sunken ship. It was in a little bit deeper water, so I was nervous about visiting it.
Where's some PP plants, man?
I placed the containers down at my camp and had a peek at their contents.
Lantern. Solar-powered light.
I was excited about the lantern. As I tried to get my head around all the stuff I was collecting, and how best to store it, a storm blew in, except for some reason the rain was invisible. Regardless, my farm plot was now fully watered.
Why can't I see the rain?
I managed to get through most of day 4 without getting hungry or thirsty, so that had to be a world record. Meanwhile, my plan to outlast the poison did not appear to be working, so I concluded I better go out hunting for a PP plant.
I think I'm forced to go to a different island. Is that the closest one? But what if there's some kind of beastie over there? I think I can use this bandage.
I wanted to restore some of my health, but bandages are to deal with bleeding, so I couldn't use it. I slept through the night, had a quick slurp of water, and hopped into the life raft. As the sun rose, I paddled off in the direction of a nearby island, with a dream of glorious PP in my heart.
Let's just hope a storm doesn't come up. That would be sad. Visit an island other than the first. Well, I'm not there yet, but I'll take the achievement. Thank you. Look at those holy pants, man. Look at my lack of neck. Now, what is the plan here? I think get as many coconuts as possible.
The main objective was obviously PP plants, but I was a big fan of fibrous leaves, so I went to town on all the palm saplings I saw.
Coconut. Coconut. Potato? No way. Kuawa? Drop that bad boy. Drop that bad boy. Fill it with coconuts.
As you can see, I brought some empty containers, which seemed like the best option available for transporting as much stuff as possible on this expedition. It meant I had space for the new veg and fruit I'd discovered.
Oh, big crabs.
I steered clear of the big crabs and kept collecting, but for a poisoned man, I was strangely relaxed. I really should have been more focused on finding a PP plant.
What I really need though is a PP plant.
This island was a fair bit bigger than my first, so I began considering making it my home base. By the way, I had no idea what a PP plant actually looked like, so what do you reckon the chances are I walked straight past one? By the time I'd filled my chests and my inventory, I was down to 3 squares of health.
Hopefully there's a random antidote on this boat.
There was no random antidote on this boat. There was a shipping container, which I randomly hacked at for ages for some reason. When I destroyed this panel, it did not disappear, but I was able to swim through it. I released these barrels from their chains, but I was unable to pick them up even once freed, so I was confused. And there were some tires too, but I left them tied up for now. This was quite a large ship, and there were several lockers for me to loot from, though I couldn't really fit everything.
Where's my PP? Leave me alone, Stingray. What do we got here? Boy balls.
This really was an enormous find, including a significant underwater area that I barely explored. It was worthy of a second visit once I had more bag space. As it was, I'd collected about 300 things, but none of them were going to help with the fact that I was poisoned. By the time I'd figured out a plan for transporting it all in my raft, it was night. So the paddle across open waters was even scarier thanks to the darkness.
Wait, where the heck am I going? Yeah, over here, the island with the big stick. Problem is, I did not find a PP plant. What is that? You see that? Oh no. What is going on?
I believe a shark just rammed my life raft, but I somehow got back on before it nibbled on my big toe. But my heart was genuinely pounding at this point. I thoroughly dislike being exposed to the open ocean.
Please show mercy. That scared the crap out of me, bro.
The remainder of the trip back was mercifully uneventful. Then came quite a process of unpacking all the loot I'd brought back, and as you can see, this included a lot of coconuts. Between all the vehicle parts I'd found, I was almost already able to make a motor. But what does that matter, considering my health kept going down, down, down?
I think I'm screwed, right? Because I don't have a PP.
But I had a good stash of loot. Also, I think deep in my heart, I still believe the poison would just go away. But nah. The yucca I'd grown appeared ready, but for some reason it didn't let me hack at it, so I got confused and guessed I needed to harvest using the hoe, which makes no sense. And that's actually how you destroy plants. So there you have another S-tier survival technique from Floydson. It's all good though, I had another yucca fruit, so in it went.
It's possible I've just missed the PP plant.
I'd finally googled what the PP plant actually looks like, and it pretty much looks like this leafy stuff here, but with a small greeny yellow fruit you can pick. Here's the image on the wiki. I thought perhaps my starter island here had a sneaky PP, but if there was a PP hidden among the shrubs, it was too small for me to find.
I'm gonna get eaten by a shark in my quest to find a PP. This is devastating. This silly island here has got to have pee-pee.
I'm almost certain the first island I paddled to had multiple peepees, but I just hadn't seen them. So isn't that just hilarious?
Oh gosh, there's a big crab waiting for me. Oh, there's a boar? That's interesting. I don't really care about any of you silly animals. I just want pee-pee.
You've always got to keep one eye on the animals though. You never know what might happen.
No. I'm dead. I'm dead. I only saw the baby one and then suddenly there's a massive one. Oh, for goodness sake. It's day 4 again?
Yeah, I forgot to save. So here we are back 36 in-game hours ago during the night of day 4.
I can't believe that. That's such a fail, dude.
There is no autosave in this game. You've got to save at a shelter. So I'd been saving every time I slept. I didn't sleep at all on the night of day 5, so I hadn't saved either. It's safe to say I didn't make that mistake again. Off I went, heading back to the first island I'd visited. Because yes, the load was from before I'd looted this entire island.
The wiki says there's a couple on each island.
There are literally 2 PP in front of me right now.
Wait a minute. Pee-pee! What? How did I miss the pee-pee this whole time?
At long last, I had a PP planned. I quickly made a coconut flask and then shoved the PP in it to make the antidote.
I am still poisoned, right? Yep. Antidote. Boom. Finally. My health should start going back up now, right? Look at that skin. That skin is not bumpy anymore. I just didn't see those peepees. Like the peepees. Oh my gosh, man.
The great news was I had a second PP, which I'd be able to plant and grow in a farm plot.
Now I just gotta remember to actually save and just all around not be an idiot.
I began gathering from this island again, and a big old crab tried to kill me. You don't regenerate health unless your hunger and thirst bars are almost full, so I ate another ration in order to allow my health to fill back up. And so, as I gathered, my health went up for the first time in a long time.
Kinda wondering, do I stay loyal to the main island or should I move?
I swam out to this wreck where I freed some boy balls from bondage, and these I could place in my bag, so I grabbed all 5. There wasn't much else of interest, but I was happy to see my health was back into respectable territory. I hit up another wreck, and it was also light on loot, but I found a few things in the captain's cabin. I was beginning to learn the art of inventory management in this game, which was a bit finicky, involving moving stuff between chests willy-nilly to maximize space. As night fell, I used a torch to poke around a little more, and I freed some tires from the rope that bound them. But I was confused as to how I was supposed to move these tires, before remembering I could drag stuff. I could only bring one of them with me at a time though. I snuck up on the giant crab that had bothered me earlier and wished him an endless good night, and I made the executive decision to make this island my home base. It had way more palm sapling spawns and more yucca trees, meaning it had a much better renewable source of fibrous leaves, and it was also bigger. I soon had some meat from that giant crab cooking over the fire. I continued attacking ficuses, I took on another giant crab, and the aggressive red vignette freaked me out.
It went so red, it looked like I was getting owned, but he did no damage to me.
I belatedly went back out to collect the 2 tires that I'd left floating.
Oh, I didn't float too far. Oh, no. Oh gosh. What the heck, bro? How did you miss me? Why are you in so shallow? I wanted to go get my tires, but those tires are not safe. That made some poop leak out, you know what I mean?
I lost track of the shark, so I was a little terrified making a break for shore, but it luckily did not follow me into the shallows.
What am I gonna do about the flaming shark, dude?
As day 6 dawned, I placed down a water still, so this base was pretty much caught up with my first base. I'd brought nothing with me, but I'd found cloth lying around on the shore, hence the quick and easy setup of the still. Those tires were sadly lost to the sea, but I was yet to visit the enormous wreck. I had given it a visit before I died and reloaded, so I knew there was a bounty to be had.
Is that shark gonna come back? Oh, that's a hammerhead. Holy dooly, that thing just screamed past.
I retreated to drink some water and then returned to the reef to see if I could fight a shark.
That's a little shark. There's the hammerhead. Come here.
I don't know what my plan was exactly, but maybe attacking a shark with a crappy fishing spear was a bad idea.
Here he is. Does he wanna fight me? How much damage did you do me? A lot. Come on then, bro. Get some. Come back for more, big fella. Yeah, come on. Come on. Get some.
I was dodging the shark's charges and using the side of the shipwreck as cover, but I wasn't having much success landing my spear stabs. In some of these swim-bys, I swear I got some stabs off, and I swear it also ate me, but both of us somehow remained unscathed. But eventually, this happened.
What the hell? Okay, he just clipped through everything. Oh, he's stuck. Is he stuck? Screw you. Get owned. Get owned, idiot.
I returned to shore for a little sip and to grab my knife, because I wanted to skin the beast, but it wouldn't let me. I concluded I probably couldn't skin stuff while swimming.
I'm quite strong, you know, just dragging a big boy.
I flopped the big fishy onto shore and got busy digging with my knife.
What is that? Rawhide. Oh, I can make leather out of this.
It yielded up some meat too, and I ended up with 3 rawhide and 3 large fish meat total. I considered what to build next using all the materials I'd gathered, and when I drank some more water, my watch beeped to inform me of something unbelievable.
I'm healthy. Healthy?
Yeah, I was healthy. somehow. I had a crafting session, turning many of the fibrous leaves I'd collected into lashing, and I finally understood the purpose of creating distinct piles of stuff. The game lets you craft the pile, and then add to it or take from it as you please. This is a much neater way of storing materials, compared to just dumping crap willy-nilly like I'd been doing previously. I used 4 of those lashings and 4 wooden sticks to make a tanning rack, and as long as I was standing close to it, I could now turn the rawhide I'd collected into leather. And even though I wasn't really using hotkeys, because I moved tools in and out of my inventory so often, I made the tool belt too to add 2 more hotkeys to my hotbar. The resource piles can't be made for every item, only really stuff you have heaps of, but they were very handy, as opposed to trying to shove a million stacks of sticks into containers in order to have a vaguely neat camp. Of course, I regularly had to drink, which meant I regularly had to add more fiber to the water still, but I won't mention that too much ongoing because you get the idea. I had to eat less often than I had to drink, and for now the meat from the crabs and the shark were keeping me going. I slept through the night and in the morning headed back out to the huge wreck, but this time I wasn't so determined to get in a fight with a shark. I just wanted loot.
I can throw them. This is much more effective. Oh no. No. I stepped on that thing. I was too excited by my... Oh no, I stepped on a crab as well. I was too excited by my tire throwing ability.
I was now poisoned again, but surely getting an antidote couldn't possibly be as chaotic as last time, right? I made a hoe and placed a wooden farm plot here.
I need to multiply the PP.
I planted the second PP I'd found earlier, and I was at full health, so I hoped it would grow before I perished. If not, I'd look a little silly for planting the PP and not just using it to make an antidote. I planted a yucca fruit in a second farming plot, and all the fibrous leaf stuff seemed to be respawning, so I had a session collecting it all until I had quite a pile. The meat I'd collected was spoiling faster than I had need of it, which meant I was unable to get ahead on food at this point, so I crafted a loom out of 6 sticks and 4 lashings so that I could make some cloth, which earned an achievement.
Craft something using the loom.
Cloth is made of just 4 fibrous leaves, and with the cloth I was able to make a smoker, which I placed over the fire.
Well, now I can use that to smoke meat. If I have smoked meat, it shouldn't go off. Is that the idea?
I don't know why I built all of that stuff so close together, but what a lovely camp. And early on day 8, I returned to the wreck. I brought several empty chests with me, which I filled up as I looted. I claimed some more boy balls, and I climbed up to the lookout to enjoy the view.
Great view. Beautiful.
But as I descended the ladder, things didn't go to plan.
Oh, what? I was on the ladder. I broke something? For goodness sake, dude.
So now I was hobbling around rather slowly, like a big, slow dingus. I managed to swim back to shore without drowning, and splints are mercifully easy to make, so dealing with my broken bone was much simpler than desperately praying for a PP.
But I still need a PP.
Now that I was moving normally again, I returned to the wreck, yet again, where I found a chest, more balls, and oh, look at that, my health was down to 1 square all of a sudden. I think breaking my leg hadn't helped, but somehow I was once again about to die to poison. Also, the sea was a bit choppy.
Maybe I shouldn't be out at sea during this?
Also, the PP had not grown yet. I observed that I now had more than enough vehicle parts to make a motor. I slept through the night to pass time in which I hoped the plant would grow. I saved the game and I stared at the PP. It did not grow in time, and I died.
Where are my hands?
Clearly the PP plant in my farm was not going to grow before the poison killed me, and I needed to go find a PP in the wild. Somehow, after all I'd been through, here I was hunting for PP. Again. Unbelievable. The problem was, I'd saved the game without much time left before the poison would claim my life. This was not wise.
I don't think I'm gonna make it.
My watch started beeping constantly, which I took to be a bad sign, and I genuinely thought I'd killed my save file. I thought it was going to be impossible to survive from that save, and I'd have to start the whole game again.
I mean, for a guy who's about to die, he's rowing.
But somehow, I just kept rowing. Obviously, my destination was an island I hadn't been to yet, so it was up to luck whether or not it would have a PP. Luck was on my side.
Oh, PP. PP.
PP indeed. I was saved.
Oh, I didn't make a flask. I'm so dumb, dude. Where's another yucca tree? Oh no, not a big... Go away, dude. Go away. Go away. How am I not dead yet?
I managed to get the fiber I needed. I made a lashing. I made a flask. And I made an antidote. I was saved.
I'm alive. Screw you, stupid fat crab. My axe broke as well. This is very inconvenient. Okay, yeah.
I thought the bush had my back, but the bush cast me down upon the crab without a care.
Oh, what is that? That's a big old ship. Holy dooly. I didn't see that before. Alright, so I got a lot of places to go. I need to get my raft up and running.
Yeah, all the buoys and tires I've been collecting were all a part of a plan to make a bigger and better raft. But for now, let's try to not die again. I came prepared with a coconut flask this time, so I made the antidote with considerably less chaos, and I brought empty containers too, because I figured I might as well loot the island while I was here. Each island tends to have stuff like cloth, planks, and corrugated metal lying around. I'd also brought some rations with me, which I ate to max out my thirst and hunger meters so my health could regenerate, and I felt I was now out of the woods.
crabs. Do not stand on a sea anemone ever again.
I didn't take on the crabs until I'd healed up a bit, so there were no crustacean-related murders on the menu, and I was soon free to strip the island bare. My axe broke, so I made a new one, and that earned the achievement to craft 20 tools. I ate the occasional coconut to keep me full, and I was on a quest to collect as many palm leaves as possible. Once you separate it, you can pick up the entire leafy part of the tree, and they stack in piles of 3. Each leafy part breaks into 5 palm leaves, so that's effectively a stack of 15 palm leaves. I needed leaves in order to make water, so this was a great opportunity to get ahead. I of course collected other stuff too, and since my visit ended up being quite long, I set up a camp where I cooked some crab meat and went to bed, with blessedly full health.
I've officially rescued the save. I do not want to get poisoned again.
I spotted a something rather sticking out of the water over here, so I swam to investigate. It was a sunken yacht. As you've no doubt noticed, every single island seemed to have at least a couple of wrecks to loot from. I caught a cod, I swam past a disco ball, and just as I was coming to the conclusion that yachts weren't really a great source of loot, a shark decided to harass me. I was emboldened by that one time I defeated a stuck hammerhead, so I wanted to fight.
Come here, you big ugly idiot.
I remained close to the yacht so the tiger shark could never quite grab me, but once again I was also having trouble landing spear stabs, so this was a silly exercise.
Oh, there you are. Oh, I'm bleeding.
I was confused as to why I couldn't swim during that, but I was actually in the shark's jaws being dragged, and yeah, I was now bleeding. I decided to run away from that fight, and I managed to make it back to the island, and it appeared I needed a bandage to stop the bleeding. I skinned the cod and began cooking it, and though my arm looked absolutely mong, my health wasn't too bad, and I knew bandages aren't hard to make, so I wasn't too worried. In fact, I had the cloth and lashing available to make one immediately, so I don't know why I didn't. Instead, I paddled back to my home island.
These seagulls better not have stolen my pee-pee.
The pee-pee fruit had finally grown, so I popped it in storage, and the next time poison came to threaten, I'd be able to deal with it, because the pee-pee plant was of course going to keep growing more pee-pee fruit, so long as I kept it watered. I did the usual fibrous leaves loop, I eventually made a bandage and patched myself up, and I think it healed me a little as well as stemming the bleeding, and after sleeping through to day 11, that was officially 10 days survived.
Survived for 10 days! I mean, I don't know if I deserve that achievement. I'm pretty sure I died about 52 times in those 10 days.
If anything, I'd survived for about 15 days by this point, because I had to reload so many times. But anyway, I also got the catch 10 fish achievement. And apparently I forgot that I'd made a smoker, because I chucked it straight on the fire to cook. I made another water still over near the farm, and I used a water skin I'd made out of leather to scoop up some water, which I used to water the farm plots. Each plot could take 4 scoops total, and it seemed that'd last a couple of days before running dry. If they do run dry, the plant dies, so I needed to keep an eye on that. I'd brought a whole lot of stuff back from my expedition, so I spent a while organizing it all, and as you can see, I'd collected quite a lot of chests by this point. I then went paddling.
I'm gonna collect all my crap that I left on the original island. Think that includes duct tape. With duct tape, I should be able to make an engine, because the next goal is to get the raft built with a motor, which presumably is a lot faster, but I think it will also allow me to transport way more stuff, because I can probably make it quite big.
Yeah, ideally I would have done this several days ago, but I kept having pee-pee issues. Better late than never. There was quite a lot of crap here, so I scooped up the best of it, and I noticed I chewed through my hunger meter way faster. I'm guessing thanks to the hard work paddling, which I guess makes sense.
No storms while I'm trying to get back. Chill. No, chill. Wait, why am I cooking the fish meat instead of using the smoker?
That is a good question. I now had a nicely functioning camp, which felt good. Maybe I actually had a chance at survival. On day 12, I made a lovely palm pile.
Alright, I've officially got a lot of crap. Let's put it that way.
I made a refined spear out of a crude spear, stone tool, and leather, and I used some precious leather to make a refined pick, too. That allowed me to mine this big rock I'd been eyeing off since the start of the game. It yielded up 6 rocks. I stayed on top of the watering, and I continued looking for new things to craft. I made a fish trap and deployed that in the shallows, where I guessed it would catch some sardines for me, and I caught some sardines the old-fashioned way and tested out my smoker properly. You can fit 5 chunks of meat on there at a time. Not too bad.
What are my levels at, by the way? I haven't really been paying that much attention. Levels are looking decent.
These storms seem to blow in every 2 or 3 days. But the rain remained invisible, so I googled it. Looking up at the sky fixes it somehow. The rain helped out watering my farm, so I welcomed it. Meat in the smoker cooks first, and then if you leave it hanging a bit longer, it officially becomes smoked. But I didn't realize this, so I took it all off while it was merely cooked. This was a mistake because cooked meat can spoil, while smoked meat cannot. I worked that out later, but for now it was finally time to make a raft. With a hammer equipped, you can bang together various raft base options, and I was aiming for a tire and buoy ball raft. You just need lashing to tie it all together.
My raft is drifting away though, dude. Come back.
I had enough tires to get it looking like this, and from there you can place a raft floor atop the base. There were multiple options, so I googled to see if there was any structural difference between all of those options, and apparently no, they just look different. Although the different raft bases float at slightly different heights, particularly barrel bases, which float a lot higher in the water. But the tires and buoy balls I had seemed to connect together neatly, so I was set to have a nice flat raft. As night arrived, I'd assembled a 3x2 raft. I decided to make a wooden floor because this was by far the cheapest to make, but I needed more sticks. Each palm log produces 4 sticks, so I spent some time chopping. It costs 4 wooden sticks per section of raft floor, but before long the raft looked like so. I capitalized on another round of palm sapling and yucca respawns, and I had another PP harvest. In the wee hours of day 13, I grabbed 3 planks that I'd found lying around and tested whether you can place container shelves on rafts. You can indeed, 1 shelf per section of floor.
I need way more planks though. I can make a plank station, I think. Let's try and make a plank station.
I figured it was about time I made some kind of building in which to put my workstations, so before making the plank cutter, I began construction.
Yeah, the wood ones look the best because they got the green, man. The palm stuff. Oh yeah, that looks nice.
You can build with various more expensive materials, but I was happy to build with wooden sticks because look at that green. I mixed regular survival chores into the day's schedule, including collecting a singular sardine from the trap.
Oh, gross.
Oh, gross.
Like how he's got like a slight German accent or something.
Ah, gross. Das ist gross. Das ist so gross. And to build my house, I was going to need lots of sticks, so I did lots of chopping, and then lots of building.
I accidentally made that one that way, but that's fine. That can be like the entranceway.
I added some triangle sections to the side, because I didn't want my house to just be a box. Some angles always add a little something.
Craftsmanship. So I think I'll have it go further back and then continue with these wedges, so it's kind of got like a slightly rounded front and back. Does that make sense?
For now though, I popped the plank station down, and with that I was able to make planks out of logs. And obviously the build wasn't done yet, but it was a good start. In the morning, I earned the achievement to craft 40 tools. It didn't feel like that long since I got the achievement for 20, but clearly I'd been busy crafting. Also, I needed clay, but I hadn't seen any in all my travels so far, so I had a cheeky Google and learned that it's found underwater in the reefs. I searched around my island, and I was able to find one big clump of clay, which I picked at until it yielded up 6 clay chunks. While in the water, I revisited the big wreck and realized I'd left behind a bunch of tires. And I found a random container over here too. But after a long search, I concluded there wasn't any more clay. I had a pit stop, a collecting session, and I wanted a motor for my raft, but I'd noticed you can craft a fuel still, so I figured I should make that first, because obviously motors need fuel. Making one required quite a few resources, most notably a jerry can and 2 clay. Eventually, I had one down.
So what the hell do I do with it? Fuel still collector, fuel still.
Clearly something needed to go into the top part there, and then the flames would cook it up into fuel somehow.
What am I burning?
I left it alight anyway, to see if it magically made fuel out of nothing. I slept the night, and in the morning learned the harsh truth that fuel cannot be made out of nothing.
Okay, so apparently you gotta put potatoes in there.
Fuel is of course made out of potatoes. You can make a rudder for your raft, but I figured the motor would probably act as a rudder too, even if it had no fuel. So I skipped the wooden rudder and went straight for a motor. I had heaps of vehicle parts and the duct tape needed to stick it all together, so why not?
Heck yeah. There's an achievement. Craft a motorboat. I mean, obviously I have no fuel, but it's pretty cool. It's a shame. I had 3 potatoes earlier, but I let them go rotten.
Once they'd spoiled, I'd gotten rid of those potatoes, but you can actually plant spoiled stuff, so that was a mistake. I could have had 3 growing already.
Get out from under my raft, you big dingus.
The giant crabs had respawned. It was rude.
How many palm fronds can I put in a giant pile?
At least 19, apparently. You can have 50 fibrous leaves in a pile, and I had more than that, so I turned a bunch of them into lashing.
Oi, don't push my chests around, you big idiot.
That's the second giant crab that respawned. The survival grind was kind of relaxing by this point, with steady sources of food and water and the accumulation of materials to keep me busy. But there was more to do than just survive. I needed a way to propel my raft until the potatoes bestowed fuel upon me, so I whacked a sail on there.
An anchor would be wise, right?
Yeah, probably. Whack one of those on there too. I placed a light hook and put one of the lanterns I'd found on top of it, and I had an experiment unfurling the sail of my raft. It propelled me forward, so I didn't have to do anything fancy to catch the wind. The wind was just always magically behind me, and it appeared my motor was working as a rudder, though the turning speed wasn't exactly quick.
I mean, I'm moving fast, that's for sure.
It was much better than paddling madly on that little yellow raft, that's for sure. I dropped anchor near the big wreck.
Can I perform some wonderful feats of glory?
I freed some tires, immediately crafted a raft base, and attached it to my raft. I freed 3 more tires and did likewise. And the beauty of this was that I didn't have to lug tires around one by one, and it didn't take me too long to add 3 more sections.
Have we expanded out the beast a little bit? That's good.
I tested out these barrels, but it appeared they would indeed float weirdly next to the other stuff. I wanted to take them back to shore regardless, so I attempted to stow them.
Ah! No. Now how do I get my raft to face the right way?
To turn the raft quickly, you have to get into the water and yoink it into the direction you want to go. It's not a graceful solution, but it works. Sadly, 1 barrel was lost in the chaos. I rescued it, and I soon had 3 barrels at my disposal. I used one of them for a hobo stove. This involved placing the barrel on top of a fire pit, and it earned me an achievement. Though it probably wasn't safe planning to have the fire sitting directly on my wooden floor.
Is it facing the total wrong way?
I then got to work on my next raft upgrade, which required more sticks as I added floors to the 3 new sections. containers. It also required planks, which I used to place a container shelf. These neatly hold 3 containers, and I wanted to place a bunch of them on the raft so that I could turn it into a glorious floating storage facility.
Now we're moving. I need to make this way bigger. Oh, here we go. I got 5 more of these. That's right.
I added another base to the raft, so it was now a 2x5.
So I'm using heaps of wood for this, but once I'm equipped, this thing moves fast. I'll just be able to ravage other islands for wood so fast.
I got the floors on, and I turned a log into a plank, which allowed me to place a second container shelf. I also added a lamp post in a position I ended up regretting.
Right in my face as I'm operating.
After another logging spree, I made 4 more planks, and 2 planks plus lashing can be turned into containers. So before long, 2 more empties were added to the shelf to go with the other 4 I'd already added.
6 empty wood containers ready to go, chilling on here.
The first 4 were ones I'd found in the wild. On day 17, I decimated the palm tree population of my home island, and before long I'd added another 2 shelves to the raft. I noticed the smoker sometimes cooked stuff and sometimes smoked stuff, and I was confused. I made a rations chest with food and water in it for raft journeys. I crafted a couple more containers, and 9 chests total meant the raft had an inventory size of 45 slots. I attempted to build a canopy to protect me from the sun while sailing the high seas. However, the silly lamp post I'd placed was in the way, so I guess I was destined for sunburn as I zoomed off. I'd had a little foray near my island, but this was my raft's true maiden voyage.
Just gotta remember that that's my island.
Yep, that was going to be an important thing to remember, and I wasn't going to use a compass to help me, so I guess this is a good time to explain. There's an achievement to beat the game without using a compass. By this point in the playthrough, I'd spotted that achievement, and I hadn't yet used one for any navigation, so I vowed to keep it that way. I had, however, opened a compass earlier, way back when. Not to actually use it, but just because it ended up in my hand while I was moving stuff around. So I had a feeling I'd technically already spoiled the achievement, but I was not going to use a compass regardless. Anyway, as you can see, I ended up in a scrap with a shark. My goal had been to check out that wreck in hopes I'd find some more materials for constructing raft base sections, but the hammerhead wasn't cooperating, and once again I was finding combat an absolute pain as I tried to stab the big idiot.
No, I'm just gonna get killed.
Yeah, my series of fails against that shark had got me rather low, and here's evidence that I was going to have trouble navigating without a compass. I'd come to an island I'd visited earlier without realizing. I grabbed a few logs, but I wasn't really interested in logs. I was on a mission for tires or boy balls, so I soon returned to the raft, being careful not to step on anything poisonous. I thought for sure the shark was going to have me for dinner as I flopped about trying to get back on the raft, but I soon worked out if you hold down spacebar near the edge, you pull yourself up, and I was soon on my way, attempting to get rid of this poorly placed light hook. Turns out it was indestructible. I was planning on heading back to base to heal up, but it turned out I'd accidentally been smart enough to bring what I needed to craft a bandage, so I whipped one of those up and cured my bleeding, and instead of heading home to regroup, I veered off towards this island in an attempt to redeem this as yet unsuccessful expedition. I nabbed a cheeky chest on the way, and I quickly looted the underwater part of the wreck too, most notably some balls. I swam to shore, and I was pretty sure this was the island variety where a boar had maimed me earlier, so I was slightly nervous. I couldn't cut down the enormous pines, but the pine saplings yielded some sticks, and I don't know why I went on a chopping spree in the dark, but here I go. I soon spotted the big boar, and by this point I'd worked out you can actually throw spears, so I wanted to test how effective that was. Crude spears are made from just one wooden stick, so they're incredibly easy to make en masse. I was absolutely useless in melee combat, but maybe this would be my redemption. Judging by the garbage aim of my first few throws, maybe not.
Where'd it go? Oh, dude, what the?
Looking at my efforts here, I don't think I was using the little dot to aim. I think I was getting confused by my character's finger and using that as a crosshair or something. That's my excuse anyway. The boar ran off for a bit, and I found some driftwood which I chopped up into sticks, and just as I thought I spotted a snake, the boar impaled my butt cheek with its tusks.
Is that a snake? Ow, what the hell? This is... What am I supposed to do? Get off me!
It made my screen so obnoxiously red, and I couldn't run fast for some reason, so it really felt like I was being devoured by the boar. But once I got into the water, it couldn't get to me.
Once he's on ya, he's on ya.
Though by the look of it, it turns out pigs can fly. The boar's manic running ensured my aim was worse than ever, but after crafting a few more crude spears, it was time for my redemption. I was capable of hitting the beast if it ran straight at me. I tried melee again, but for the life of me, I couldn't get used to the wacky hitboxes in this game. It felt like all these stabs should be hitting, but somehow I actually did land a hit and the boar was laid low. I skinned it and came away with 4 rawhide and 2 large meat for my troubles. I collected wood for the rest of the night, because I was too scared to go beyond the side of the island I'd landed on, mainly because of this sound.
What is that? Run.
I didn't want to swim to the wrecks in the dark either. What I should have done is just made a shelter and slept. But stocking up on materials was useful too, so it's all good. I continued collecting into day 18, and I also wanted to test my new combat strategy underwater.
Ah, you're a lot easier to hit.
The smoother movement and larger size of the shark made it a relatively easy target. And finally, I didn't look like quite so big of an idiot, as this is clearly top tier gameplay and incredibly skilled combat on display. I even got to collect back all the spears I'd thrown. I skinned the shark.
Oh, I've ended up with a bunch of leather out of this then.
And went on the hunt for more clay. I found one clay rock, so I was getting the sense that there was at most one per island. I found some more chests and some tires too.
This is where I heard the snake noise. There is a snake.
It was a small and squiggly target, but I managed to land 2 spears into the night snake, and with that it was dead.
I wouldn't mind those tires from... Oh, there's another one. There's another one. Please don't poison me. I have to go all the way back to my base for my PP and my health is really low.
For some reason I didn't end up grabbing those tires, but on balance this mission was still a success, as I brought home quite a lot of resources, including large meat to cook and several new containers. I'd also found a potato, which was huge, as I placed a corrugated farming plot and planted it immediately.
Yeah, so this can hold 8 dollops of water, whereas these can only hold 4, which means I can leave the island for longer and it won't die.
A return to base meant chores to keep the operation running, it meant a bunch of stuff needed to be unloaded, and it usually involved a crafting spree too. And it looks like I still hadn't learned my lesson. Here I go taking this cooked meat off the smoker. Just light the fire again, you big buffhead.
Oh, I should have left them hanging up. Why did I not leave them hanging up? They're all going to spoil now.
I expanded out the floor of my house, and I placed a couple of shelves and spent quite a while getting organized. I used a big portion of all the sticks and logs I'd brought back just like that, as the floor expanded even further. I tried out a spyglass I'd found.
Is it just me or is that not... Oh, yeah, okay. This will be useful.
And I proceeded to never use it again.
It's mainly like motor parts over here. This is like food and farm stuff, and this is crafting resources. And the other crafting resources are just the piles, because this is way more efficient than shoving it in the chest.
And crucially, a glorious potato was growing. I used 6 of the clay I'd found to slap down a furnace, and I used 2 more clay to make a water bottle, which holds 5 scoops of water, 2 more than the leather water sack I'd made earlier.
Make a clay flask. Nice.
I filled it up and put it among my raft supplies.
Let's go try to find that boat.
Yes indeed, on day 20 I struck out on another adventure, with the goal to find that boat. And by that boat, I mean the massive ship I'd seen in the distance earlier. Except I didn't go to the ship. I went to this neighboring island where I discovered giant crabs are immune to crude spears. In fact, the spears were breaking on its shell. I wasted about 8 spears because I'm a bit slow. I ate a kura fruit and I set up a camp, complete with a smoker and water still, because I figured it'd be helpful to have stuff set up to keep me sustainable island to island. Setting up the shelter was definitely a good plan, as it meant I was able to save here too. And I guess I officially changed my mind about going to the ship, because here I go stripping the entire island for all it was worth. Once night arrived, I had a snooze.
Survive for 20 days, baby. Systematically setting up bases seems sensible. It's perhaps overkill, but at least I'll feel comfortable.
I wasn't done claiming the island's resources yet, so I kept at it, and it turns out it takes quite a long time to chop down every single palm tree on an island. I filled up about 12 chests worth. I realized I still had those buoy balls I'd found on my last raft journey, so I added one sticky outy section of base to the raft. And when I was almost done with the island, it offered up one last gift.
Oh, potato. I totally miss the potatoes every time.
The potatoes are pretty sneaky. I slept a second night in a row on that random island because, yep, I spent a whole 2 days picking it clean of loot. And then I got on the move and attempted to get rid of the lantern pole again. It remained invincible. I looted a wreck off this island. It's always good to claim more containers. And I ended up in a scrap with a tiger shark, which went swimmingly until I ran out of crude spears to chuck at it. I waited for it to swim near, and I grabbed one of those crude spears out of its pincushion body, and I threw it again, and that finished it off. I skinned the beast, and I attempted to stow a tire I'd found on my raft, but that caused some physics discombobulation as things went a little wonky. I headed to the island to collect, specifically some leaves for lashing.
Oh dear. Not a giant hog.
I fled, and luckily a chest I'd grabbed had lashing in it, so I was able to make a tire raft base which I connected here. I swam to explore the wreck some more, and I found enough planks to make another shelf, but it was a little wonky.
Oh, it's like in the floor though.
The raft had been bobbing on the water, hence the dodgy placement, but whatever. I drank the water I'd brought with me, and I collected from the island a little more, including finding 2 more PP. I ended up in a glorious battle with the giant hog, and it got stuck. What an idiot. A snake appeared too. These pine tree islands are officially the danger islands, and I had way too much trouble landing a spear into the noodly beast, but I eventually took out both the snake and the boar, and I set up a shelter at which I slept through the night. Stocking up on rawhide was nice, but this was not so nice.
No. Ah, for goodness sake, dude. I'm gonna need some pee-pee.
There is confirmation that getting bitten by a snake poisons you. I'd soon crafted an antidote using the PP I'd collected yesterday, and all was well. I placed a campfire too.
Create a campfire on 5 distinct islands. Good.
I then braved a storm and sailed back over to my home island, where I harvested my first potato and got busy with the usual chores. I placed a second metal farm plot and planted the potato I just harvested, and I turned some logs into planks which I used to add another shelf to the raft. I crafted another farm plot, in which I planted the potato I'd found while on that last expedition, and I now had 3 potato plants set to produce every couple of days.
This one's on a funky angle, but I respect it.
I placed another water still to ensure I was collecting enough water to keep up with the needs of my growing farm. The crabs had respawned, so I stabbed them and cooked them, and I had plenty of logs to unload from my raft. Logs galore, and quite a few sticks too. Some palm fronds as well. I formed respectable piles of various materials as I got organized. I turned most of those logs into planks and continued upgrading the raft, adding plenty of shelves and containers to go on those shelves.
I'm nearly out of logs again. Holy moly. I thought all those logs I collected would be enough to finish my house, but apparently not. Oh dear, I'm addicted to storage. This is 24 chests now.
I'd kept the water stills working overtime, and now my farms were fully watered. I made sure the smoker was put to work too, and I now officially understood that I needed to leave the meat on longer to make sure it smoked. So this helped to ensure I was somewhat stocked for my next adventure. And when I quit out to the main menu, I showed off a handy map.
I have discovered something quite interesting. This cartographer thing shows my world. I believe this is the island that I'm on. I'm pretty sure I saw this boat, and then these, they're clearly bosses, right?
I wasn't allowed to use the compass in-game, but this cartographer in the main menu was going to be invaluable helping me to navigate. On day 25, I headed back out again. I took on a shark, I took on a crab, and I took on a boar.
I mean, the amount of leather I'm getting is nuts, right? Little baby boar. I can't kill you, that would just be rude.
By this point, I was pretty sure there were 2 categories of islands, these dangerous pine tree ones and the ones like my home island. I collected for a while, I set up a smoker and whacked heaps of juicy meat from the boar and shark on there. I collected some more, and I set up a water still and shelter too. After a nice snooze, I put yet more juicy meat on the smoker, and the key reason I'd set up a proper base here was because this island was the one closest to the big old ship, and it was high time I paid it a visit. As I drew near, it was evident that the ship was in some disrepair, just like every other seafaring vessel in the universe besides my raft, apparently. I explored the land around it first, but there wasn't too much to see. I tried to climb in over here, but that was a no-go. I claimed some loot, of course. I was assaulted by a ferocious beast, and it appeared this was my way in, at the horribly ripped up rear of the ship. I couldn't get deep into the interior of the ship, but I was able to ascend some stairs.
Kinda rusty, you know. Am I gonna find some weirdo at the top of this?
Yeah, there wasn't much to it except lots of rust and lots of stairs, but I soon made it up to this door.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, so maybe this ship had something useful on offer after all.
No way. This could be my way to escape Pacifica. Repair the engine, the propeller, the cockpit, stock food, stock water, stock fuel. Interesting. Here's the gyrocopter parts. Okay.
By the look of it, some other poor soul had attempted to escape here, but I guess they hadn't made it, and their loss was my gain. But I needed to stock up on fuel, water, and food, and I needed some parts with which to repair the dodgy plane.
I have to craft these 3 things, but I don't have the recipe yet, and there are 3 bosses marked on the map, so I'm gonna guess I get the recipes when I kill the bosses. There's my beautiful raft.
It is indeed quite beautiful, and it was a nice feeling to have some hope of survival beyond the harsh islands of the Pacific. But I had some work to do first. I sailed off towards this as yet unvisited island, where I set up a shelter and slept through the night. I had a few things on my agenda now. Obviously, the long-term goal was to get that plane working, but firstly, collecting loot. I needed lots of stuff, and I wanted lots of stuff. Secondly, I'd browsed the achievements by this point, so there are a few things I was aiming for. For example, this Chihuahua was going to be handy.
Oh, there's a Cura here too. Perfect. I needed both of those.
Thirdly, I needed heaps of materials. So did I mention collecting heaps of materials was on the agenda? This island had 2 wrecks clipped into each other. It was chaos, but the big wreck was much like the one next to my home island, absolutely full of goodies. And that leads me to fourthly, I wanted stuff for raft-based construction, so these boy balls hit the spot. Plenty of balls. I found several containers on this wreck and spent quite a while fiddling with inventory management to ensure I collected the best of the loot. I also collected more than enough planks to place 2 more shelves on the raft, but I'd found more than 6 containers so they didn't all fit, but I could of course just carry the others. I then used some lashing to create 3 more raft bases out of those buoy balls.
Boy balls?
Once I'd placed some wooden floors on top, my raft was at full size. 3x5, very nice. After sleeping and saving, I got my bearings on the cartographer, because I was a little lost. I worked out that if I zoomed off past the big ship, I'd be able to find my way home. On the way, I shot off some flares, because I'd found so many of these flare guns, it only seemed right that I actually used them. It was good stuff. A couple of minutes later, I was home. Before long, I had 2 more shelves on the raft, I was unloading stuff like a maniac, and I was cheering when the rain came because it meant my new farm plots received some free watering. They weren't placed in the most pretty positions you've ever seen, but it'll do. And I planted a koala in this one, and I took stock.
I think that's all I'll need for my janky farm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've planted potatoes, pee-pee, yucca, I got a Kawawa here.
I also planted aloe vera, ajuga, and finally the kura fruit.
Boom. There we go. Have one of each farm crop planted on the same island. Lovely.
I harvested some potatoes and immediately used my hoe to rip up the aloe, ajuga, and kura I just planted. Because I didn't want those ridiculous crops, I wanted as many potatoes as possible.
6 potatoes planted total now.
I made sure they were all watered, I kept busy around camp, and I finished off the raft.
Fully decked out with shelves. I'll leave some spare so I can just chuck new chests I find straight on there.
I diligently harvested leaves, I had a palm chopping spree until I had a pile of 50 fronds, I added a 4th water still to the party, and I spent ages prepping for my next trip, including crafting some essentials.
So I'm bringing tons of sticks in case I want to make spears. Other than that, I got food, bandages, got some antidotes, got water, random cloth, lashing, stuff for crafting. Yeah, so pretty well stocked out, but then I've still got a whole bunch of chests completely empty.
And you know that massive pile of fronds? Turns out even that was gonna run out pretty fast with so many water stills and farm plots, on top of my own water needs. I used some rawhide and leather to make the tool belt pouch 2 and 3.
So now I've unlocked all the hotkeys that I don't use.
And I placed a bird snare too. I'd killed lots of fish and crabs by this point, so it was time for the birds to get some. In the morning, off I went, with a fully stocked raft and a dream, to find one of those skulls I'd seen on the map. I went to this neighboring island, saved at the shelter I'd placed here earlier, and quit to check the cartographer.
Okay, according to the cartographer, it's between that island and that island over there.
While in the game, I had to go off landmarks, and to establish a sense of direction, I had to know the relative location of 2 landmarks. I thought I knew where my home island was relative to the island I'd just been to, and therefore I thought I knew the general direction I should head in to find the skull out in the ocean. But, no. I didn't really know what I was looking for, but I saw absolutely nothing, so I gave up and sought refuge on an island. I made a shelter, saved, and quit to check the map again. If only the map was accessible in-game, this would have been mildly easier.
It's between here and my home island. That's so weird, okay?
I'd wasted most of the day flopping around the ocean, and I didn't want to rock up to a boss fight at dusk, so I used the rest of the day collecting more sticks. And in the morning, I struck out in what was clearly the correct direction.
I'm so lost, dude.
I was sure my target was in between where I'd started and my base island, and now my base island was right in front of me, but I'd seen nothing on the way besides endless blue.
Is there some kind of mark in the water? I'm pretty sure it's between my island and off in this direction.
I headed back where I'd just come from, scanning the water desperately. I spotted nothing.
I think this might be where I just was. I could really use the compass to figure out what the hell's going on here. I'm very confused.
I'd spent about 25 minutes looking so far, and here I go landing on what I thought was the same island as before.
Wait, what? I'm on an island I've never been to before? Dude, I'm so lost.
Oh well, that's a great excuse to set up yet another remote base.
I'm all the way over here now? Wait, what? How did I end up so far north?
It's all good, just get your bearings, big fella. I believe in you. I was finally smart enough to take a screenshot, so I could now at least refer to the map without having to exit the game. That helped me get my bearings, and I was fairly confident this was my starter island. When I landed, I discovered it was indeed, complete with my original camp. From there, I scanned the horizon, cross-referencing with my map screenshot. And when I struck out in this direction, believe it or not, I actually got it right. Finally.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Finally, I'm correct about something. Story. This is either going to be a Megadong, an Abaya, or an Aluska. What on earth is that?
I'd arrived at the skull marker on the map, and something was poking out of the water.
The Great Abaya? What is that? At the top of a ship? What do I do here? Am I really gonna jump in the water? You know what I should have made? I should have made a breath boost. I think what I want is just like 1,000,000 spears.
I brought a lot of sticks with me, so I began crafting. There is a spear gun in this game, but to make arrows for it you need lashing, and of course each lashing costs 4 fibrous leaves, so to craft a large amount of arrows would be a headache. The same goes for the upgraded refined spears, which require lashing and a stone tool. These crude spears just need 1 stick each, and sticks are the easiest resource to collect, so that suited me. The crude spear technique had served me well against a few sharks by this point, and it was time to test them against the Great Abaya. I filled my entire backpack with spears, plus bandages, and I had extra spears in a chest. And into the water I plopped.
It's a massive boat. Oh, what am I doing, bro? My boat's so far away. I feel like I want to hug this thing and hide. Show your face, Abaya. I mean, there's a lot of bones and crap. It's in there, right? Oh! Oh! Ugly.
And so the giant eel burst forth from its lair, and it was time to dance.
Dude, I'm doing so much damage to it. Holy crap. Didn't get me. Oh! 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 That's not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted. Did it do damage to me? Oh my gosh, it jumps.
Yeah, it jumps. I thought I'd be able to use a bandage to heal up some health, but it wouldn't let me because I hadn't been afflicted with bleeding. So I gave up on that and settled into the strategy that worked well against sharks. The hide near a big object strategy. Hanging out near this protruding part of the ship worked wonders, as the greater buyer had trouble finding an angle of attack, while I was free to lob spears at the beast. I should explain, your damage is affected by your hunting level, and at this stage I believe I was at level 5 out of 7, so my spears weren't dealing their absolute maximum, but as you can see they were doing a pretty decent job. I avoided taking any damage for a good long stretch, and my concern became that I was going to run out of spears. I realized that each time the eel attempted an attack, I could actually yoink the spears right off its body to reuse, so I began doing that.
How many do I have? I still got like 10, 20?
I don't know why, but I hopped out of the water again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But the battle had essentially been won. As long as I swam erratically near the cover of the ship, the abaya couldn't seem to get me, and so I wore down its considerable health pool spear by spear.
Don't jump at me. Is it dead? Oh yes. Get some, big fella. Objective completed. Abaya trophy, aircraft engine part. There we go.
I tried to collect all my spears, but the abaya dematerialized and they were lost to the abyss. But they were cheap, so it's all good.
Good to know the ridiculous crude spear strat is just strong. I think I used like 35 crude spears.
It wasn't long before I returned to base, feeling pleased about my victory.
Abaya trophy. Wait, what? I just get it? No way. I didn't even have to craft it. Surely I have to craft the aircraft piece, right?
I thought I'd need to collect materials in order to craft these, but nope, there was no recipe. They were freebies thanks to the defeat of the abaya. I spent a bit of time building, I popped a hook on the wall, and I soon had my trophy mounted. Killing the abaya also earned me the Hunter of the High Seas achievement, by the way. I harvested 6 potatoes, and it was finally time to add mash.
There we go, now we're making fuel.
I lit the fire and off it went.
The mash is gonna become fuel somehow. Caught a bird! No way.
I got rid of this kuawa and planted another potato instead, and I kept busy with the usual survival chores. I was also pleased to have the rain water my crops. I kept the smoker working overtime because stocking up on plenty of smoked meat seemed wise, and I learned 1 potato filled 1/4 of a jerry can, as 3 potatoes had been refined into fuel by this point, which I collected. I put it into my raft motor.
1, 2, 3 gyrocopter parts. Probably gonna need some of that. Gyrocopter base? Gyrocopter seat.
I'd collected these gyrocopter parts on the big ship, right next to the plane, and combined with a few other engine parts, I was able to cobble together a ridiculous flying machine.
There we go. No way, bro. Dang it, maybe I shouldn't have used my fuel on my raft. I should have given this thing a spin. That's crazy, dude. Da Vinci, craft the gyrocopter.
I continued prepping my raft for another adventure, stocking it up nicely. I found a random potato on the raft, so I popped that in the fuel contraption, and a half tank of fuel had appeared overnight, so I grabbed that and fueled up the gyrocopter. Obviously, I needed to take it out on a test flight, so off I went.
Oh my lord. We're on the move, baby. That's crazy, dude.
I didn't want to use up too much fuel, so I just had a little joyride around my island before landing. I concluded for now I'd rather use my fuel to power my raft, because the raft had immense storage, and I needed to collect like a madman. But it was good to have the gyrocopter handy for later. I filled all my water bottles, shoved plenty of smoked meat in a chest, and got back on the move. Except my raft wasn't being propelled by a sail this time, the motor was putting in work.
How's my fuel going? So I've used a 1/4 tank almost.
I was headed west, on a mission towards another skull on the map, and the motor was certainly getting me there faster than I'd ever zoomed before, but it was churning through the fuel. I stopped at this island, where placing this fire earned me the achievement for setting up a campfire on 10 islands. And I needed to remake the majority of my crude spears, so collecting sticks was on the agenda, deep into the night. In the morning I headed out, and I was at the edge of the map, so in front of me there were no islands to be seen, only endless blue. But somewhere not too far into the blue, I was expecting to find another boss. However, I could not see anything, anywhere. So I quit, which took me back to the save on the island.
Turns out I was on the wrong wait, what?
Yeah, I thought I'd been on the island closest to the boss skull, but nah, whoops. Now that I had my bearings, I zoomed over to this island, which I believed actually was the closest island to the boss.
I think I can see the boss thing.
But I'd had too many navigational fails by this point, so this is where I introduced a new habit of saving and quitting out on almost every island I visited, just to make sure I actually was where I thought I was. And yep, I was definitely in the right spot now. That meant it was time to craft a lot of spears.
Oh no, I just made the aircraft engine part. I didn't really mean to do that.
It's all good, you can make infinite of those, so it wouldn't have mattered, even if I'd thrown it into the sea. I headed out to the marker, which turned out to be a lovely yellow buoy.
Luska the Great, huh?
I had more spears than I could carry, so I jumped over and placed a box of them on the buoy. The raft drifts a lot when anchored in deep water, so I was worried it'd wander off too far, and I wanted somewhere I could easily get more spears if necessary.
I guess I just gotta go for it, yeah? Oh, hello, big fella. What the hell? It's just right there. Okay. I guess we're on. I can't see, dude. Oh dear, I think it's got me. I think it's got me.
A couple of things were immediately evident. Firstly, my spears seemed to be doing way less damage to this big squid compared to the eel earlier.
Get away from me! It's got me again. How do I deal with that?
Secondly, this was a much more open battlefield. I could sort of hide next to the boy, but it was of course mostly above water, so I was quite vulnerable to Luska the Great's tentacles. Also, I was bleeding, so I climbed up to use a bandage.
Oh, it's got me. I managed to use a bandage. It's not doing that much damage to me.
I healed up a bit thanks to the bandage, but as I flopped about, I soon ended up in the beast's clutches once again. And once again, I was bleeding. I had a decent stretch where I zigged and zagged and jumped to avoid its clutches, but it didn't last long enough, as here I go being dragged once again.
Leave me alone.
By this point, I wasn't even trying to use the piddly cover of the boy. I was doing my best to employ evasive maneuvers.
I'm out of spears. Oh, dude, this thing's crazy. Can I use more bandages? Oh, bro, it just owned me. Did you see how much damage it just did to me?
It was good to learn I could use bandages while swimming, but it was not so good that I was very nearly dead. I somehow managed to climb onto my raft, and the squid blessedly left me alone up there.
Wait, where did all my spears go, dude? It's actually leaving me alone on my raft. Wait, can I just fight it on my raft? Ah, maybe not, maybe not. Please. Let me up, let me up.
I was desperately trying to find more spears, or craft more spears, or something, because that chest full of spears had fallen into the ocean, I guess. But it wasn't going well for me, as Luska's tentacles were quite grippy. I gave up on that and instead began retrieving spears from the squid's body, the old yoink it and re-throw it technique. And honestly, it felt like I was making a comeback in the fight, except when I couldn't quite grab a spear, I was kind of just floating there like an idiot.
Look, it's so ugly, man. Why is this so ugly? It just gets me. What the heck? I think I'm dead. Why do I have no hands or feet? Okay. Dude, what the heck?
I think it was the bleeding that killed me there, hence the ragdoll flop of death, and it was time to go again. Except I hadn't saved before crafting all the crude spears, so I had to craft them all again, which took about 4 minutes, by the way. This time I had 2 spare crates of spears, and I left them safely shelved on the raft to ensure they didn't disappear. I dropped in for another attempt, and I wasn't bothering with any funny techniques this time, but every time Luska came in for an attack, I tried to dash to the side as quick as possible, and jump out of the water if possible, and this had a respectable success rate. It also meant I was focused on my opponent rather than hiding, so I was able to throw spears constantly and therefore I was dealing damage way quicker. Despite my best efforts, I was dragged around twice relatively quickly and I began bleeding, but then I locked in for a solid stretch of dodgy shenanigans as the spears were chucked one after the other. I didn't even pause to use a bandage. I guess I was too caught up in the onslaught of spears. I also barely went underwater in this phase. I just treaded water and somehow avoided attack after attack. During this passage of play, I drained over 50% of the beast's health, until it finally got me in its grasp again. I bandaged myself while tentacle bound, and I didn't even pause to check my health, though I did hear my watch beep, and the watch usually only beeps when you're on quite low health. Suddenly Squid Face here was down to about 10%, and right on cue I ran out of spears. I swam back to my raft as quickly as possible.
Don't get me, don't get me, no, don't get me. Don't get me, stop it.
I was once again got, but not before I'd had the chance to pick up quite a few spears from a chest, and by this point it's hard to understand how I wasn't dead.
Don't get me. Oh no, he got me. Get him, stab him. Is he dead? Oh my gosh, he's dead. Oh yeah, okay, that was intense. No, my spears! My spears! Hell yeah, that was crazy. I still got a fair few more spears for the next boss. The Luska trophy is an eyeball, and I can now make the propeller part. Heck yes. Alright, sweet. I had to use 2 bandages there, but that's okay.
And so I was victorious. On the second try, and only just, but victorious is victorious. Since I was all the way out here, I wanted to make the most.
I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to start systematically searching some of these islands.
There's an achievement to find all of the survivor remains, which randomly appear on islands. I was yet to find any, and there are 3 to find total. If I counted correctly, there were 43 islands in my slice of the Pacific, and I'd only visited about 11 or 12 so far, so I had a lot of searching to do.
Oh, and this island has one. As soon as I look, there you go. Okay, sick.
Yes indeed, as luck would have it, as soon as I began consciously searching, I found.
Was a dead fella. These skeletons here. He's got pretty useless stuff for me. I'll take some rations though.
1 out of 3 survivor remains desecrated. Great stuff. I also took the opportunity to loot the island a little. I should also mention, I of course kept myself well hydrated and fed, and I set up a shelter next to my dead friend's shelter so that I could save and check the map.
I've checked this island, no survivor remnants. I've done these 2 bosses. I checked this island, it did have a survivor remnant, so I've just marked that. I have checked a lot of these islands, and I know they don't have survivor remnants, but I'm not exactly sure which ones I've checked, so I'll probably end up double checking some of them.
And so this is how I began systematically exploring the map, using Windows' dodgy designer tool to mark stuff off. I marked my home island a lovely green.
I should be looking for potatoes when I go to these islands, actually. I haven't been looking for potatoes.
It's true, wisdom dictates that potatoes should be looked for. On this particular island, there were 0 survivor remains. I slept the night here, took the opportunity to yoink any easy to find loot, quickly checked the cartographer, and as I arrived at the next island, my motor was almost out of fuel. This island also lacked abandoned camps, and it sadly had 0 skeletons, but it was a safe island with no boars or snakes, so I went on a collecting frenzy. Wood and leaves were my primary targets, but I didn't say no to metal or planks, because I knew I needed a wide range of stuff for some crafting and building projects in the future. One material I definitely needed to stock up on was clay, except I kept forgetting to look for it at most islands, but not this time. At this island, I had a lovely dip in the reef. I circled the whole island as a hammerhead shark lurked nearby, and right at the end of my loop, I finally spotted some clay. As I got on the move again, my fuel ran out.
Oh, well, we're back to sail powered.
I was developing a rhythm for shelter construction. Collect the sticks, the palm leaves, and the fibrous leaves to turn into lashing, and boom, a place to sleep and save. I fought some silly goobers on my loop around this island. Alas, no remains. Some good violence though.
What's this boar doing, bro? He's jiggling.
Also, potatoes. Also, more violence against a snake.
So I started here, this is my base. I went all the way over here. I got lost for a bit because I was confused. I think I went there accidentally.
And then, as you can see, after the boss I checked a few islands, and that was a good start to my hunt for survivor remains. As always, a trip back home meant a whole lot of unloading. My potato crop had regrown, and I decided I had enough pee and also yucca, so I got rid of those plants. I destroyed the crappy farm plots, I put a bunch of potatoes in the fuel thingo, I got some cooking happening, and I spent some time constructing because I had an eyeball to mount.
Look at that eyeball. Look at that eyeball.
I placed some improved farm plots with double the watering capacity of the old ones, and I planted 2 more potatoes in them, so that brought my crop up to a glorious total of 9.
That's a lot of potatoes. That's a lot of potatoes.
I spent the rest of day 38 getting sorted. This included some littering in the ocean, fuel collecting, and plenty of cooking. On my last couple of expeditions, I'd only taken 2 bottles of water with me, and I'd relied on remote water stills or coconuts or rations to supplement my water needs. But I had heaps of rawhide from boars and sharks, so I turned some into leather and made 5 more water skins. The clay bottles hold more water, but I didn't want to use up all my clay, so I settled for the leather sacks, and they stack in piles of 4, so they were still fairly inventory space efficient.
23 servings of water available now.
With the water demand higher than ever between the farms and my many water bottles, I added a 5th and 6th water still to the setup. That meant 24 dollops of water would be waiting for me at base when I returned, assuming I kept them all stocked up with leaves. I made sure the farms were close to fully watered so they didn't die while I was out, and I collected more potato juice.
Got a full tank of fuel and a full spare tank of fuel.
And I got on the move. At this first island I visited, my theory about clay was proven wrong. I thought for sure each island had 1 clump of clay at most.
Oh, there's more clay here. This is so good.
I'd worked out that I needed about 30 clay, so finding 12 on one island was juicy. Turns out I did not actually need anywhere near that much in the end, but oh well. I was on the way to the final skull at the bottom corner of the map, and I was checking for remains as I went. These first 2 islands were empty. At this second one, I collected a ton of wood, and by this point I'd lost interest in some of the loot out there. I wasn't just a mindless loot goblin anymore, I was a slightly thoughtful loot goblin.
I'm just gonna ignore that chest. I don't need it.
I didn't really need any more containers, and since the story aircraft parts didn't require materials to craft, I no longer needed vehicle parts either. This island also had 2 clumps of clay, by the way. It was a clay bonanza, and getting the clay I wanted definitely wasn't going to be as hard as I thought. I hit up another island, grabbed some debris from its shores, checked for remains, you know the drill, and I learned you can suck on these air tanks to top up your O2 while underwater. I never had much reason to dive too deep or to stay underwater too long, so this discovery wasn't too exciting. Also, this island once again had plenty of clay.
There's a 3rd? I've definitely got enough clay. There's a 4th. All right, look at this haul of clay, man. Absolutely beautiful.
I'd reached the corner of the map, so on the morning of day 41, it was time to head out hunting for the 3rd and final boss. I was in the right area, so my navigation efforts were serving me well, but not too well, because it still took me a while to spot what I was after. Also, I should mention the abundance of shelves on my raft was of course glorious, but on the other hand, it kind of made it hard to see when I was manning the motor.
What is this? Oh, the megalodon's feeding on a carcass? Okay, so it's a shark, and can I just start shooting at it? What are you gonna do? Well, I did so much damage to it.
There's really not that much to say about how this fight turned out. This is definitely the weakest boss, as I did way more damage to it, and unlike the others, it didn't seem capable of knocking me off my raft. I don't know if I got lucky in that regard, but I simply just stood there and lobbed spears from safety. It took a while because my accuracy was abysmal, and the movements of the shark were erratic, but ultimately, it was a bit of a slaughter.
You should try eat my raft, big fella. Is he dead? Who's dead? Get the spears. Okay, bye, Spears. That was, that was easy. That whale was getting launched. I can make all the aircraft pieces now. That's crazy.
It's true, I was almost ready to escape this smelly archipelago. I used the rest of day 41 to check a couple more islands, and on day 42 I hit up 4 more, continuing to nab the odd material as I scouted for survivor remains. You may have noticed I have not excitedly revealed the discovery of more survivor remains yet. That is because I found 0. Also, on day 43 I got lost.
Am I going in circles? Wait, what? I'm back out this way. Oh, for goodness sake, bro. I've gone the complete wrong way. Alright, I made it back home. Somehow.
Despite getting a little lost, I'd managed to search 5 islands before beating the boss, and another 8 on the way home, finding nothing in the process. But it was good to mark some islands off the list, and overall that was a hugely successful expedition. I was pleased to see that even after a few days away, my crops were looking healthy, and plenty of potatoes were ready, so I got the fuel still running, as I'd used up most of the 2 jerry cans worth I'd taken with me. Beyond that, you know the drill. Maintenance of the camp, unloading, and restocking the raft.
Going through all the palm fronds so fast.
Sticks were burnt up pretty quickly too, thanks to the cook fire and fuel fire, but that's why I'd collected a fair bit of goodies on my time away. On day 44, I removed all the useless vehicle parts from these containers and dumped them in a beautiful pile.
And this is officially the vehicle part dump.
I placed another shelf here and filled it with the containers that were previously full of those parts.
Okay, we got 2 full cans of fuel.
I'd had my coconuts in a chest, which was a mistake. They look much nicer in a pile, and it took me ages to unload. I even had to start a second pile of sticks. I added a 4th shelf to my roofless house because I needed somewhere to put all the clay.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I decided the pile of crap was too close to my base, so I moved it behind a bush, which made it easier to pretend my island wasn't messy. I did some construction and mounted the Megalodon's head.
Beautiful. The trophies. That's an achievement. Collect all sea monster trophies. Alright, let's go finish the game, I guess. I have no idea if I'm bringing enough water and fuel.
I had quite a lot of water, 2.5 jerry cans of fuel, and quite a lot of smoked meat, so I hoped it was enough.
Alright, well, I can repair all the parts, right? We can repair the rudder, fix that. Boom. Propeller is fixed. Repair the engine. Engine is fixed. Boom. How much fuel am I realistically gonna need? Let's see. Oh, dude. That was only half of what I need. So I need 2.5 more jerry cans. Okay. Got a little bit of work to do. Oh, no. I'm mistaken. Boom, I'm done. I thought I needed way more, but I only needed 2 jerry cans. I've still got half a jerry can full. How much food do I need?
I only needed 12 small smoked fish, so that was easily done. And I only needed 10 units of water, so that was easily done as well.
I think it's done, yeah. Wait. No way. No, I'm scared. If I don't save, then can I just go back to before and not waste all that fuel?
I'm not sure flying away to civilization and safety is a waste of fuel, but you know what I mean. And so I hit yes without saving first, and it was time.
Okay. He's a rubber ducky? No way. Starting up the engine, baby. Okay. Is it just going to explode and that's it? Close the cockpit. Okay, we're rotating. We're going to crash straight into that debris over there. Throttle the engine. Come on, mate. Come on, big fella. Launch. Ah! A successful straight into the... Oh my gosh. Am I actually flying? No. I thought I was going to dive straight into the ocean just then. I'm free? I'm free?
And with that, I had finally escaped the Pacific. From a castaway with absolutely nothing, I built up a glorious island empire, and now I'd taken to the skies.
3 hours later, what?
By the way, I was desperately hoping I'd get the No Compass Allowed achievement.
It gave me the achievement! I definitely opened a magnet earlier on, but it didn't count for some reason. Thank the goodness of goodness for that. Boom. I did not use it to navigate. I promise you. Where am I? Am I gonna get shot down again? I knew it, bro. I knew it. Wait, what? How did I get turned into the dude in the private jet? I'm so confused. Oh, wait. It's a loop. It's a loop. It's such a troll, dude. The way my plane crashed in the first place was because another guy was trying to escape in his plane and crashed into it. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, apparently the law of Stranded Deep is that each castaway causes more castaways, because in his attempt to escape, he simply crashes into some other nerd. It's good stuff. And yeah, I had definitely opened a compass earlier, but it gave me the achievement for escaping without using a compass, so I was very happy. I never used it to navigate, so I did earn it in spirit, and I guess the game somehow knew that. Either that or it's completely bugged. Who cares?
I've loaded back before I wasted all that fuel escaping, because why would you want to escape when you need to live here another 55 days, am I right?
Yeah, I still needed to survive for a couple of months longer in order to earn the 100 days achievement.
Oh, but I forgot to save before I did this crap. Damn it. That's annoying.
I had to rebuild the beautiful front of my house. I had a crafting session making 3 refined axes.
No, 3 refined axes. I've been using crude axes this whole time. I think it's a bad idea. I have so much leather, so could have been way quicker chopping stuff down, so I don't know what the heck I've been doing.
Refined axes do chop stuff a bit faster. For example, at max level harvesting, they break logs into sticks in 3 hits instead of 4. And they're also way more durable. I really should have been making them ever since I had a reliable source of leather. I spent the rest of day 45 picking this nearby island clean, collecting sticks, logs, and leaves in particular. I kept at it for most of day 46 too, before heading towards another island. My motor ran out of fuel, and I chose not to use the 2.5 jerry cans I had spare, because I wanted to save those for gyrocopter shenanigans. I instead reverted to harnessing the wind. I visited this island purely to check for survivor remains. I found none.
So I've just learned that the ocean current goes north to south, so it always pushes you in a southerly direction. This is helping so much. I've done the achievement where I'm not allowed to use the compass, so I could use a compass, but I don't have a compass. Because I've banned all compasses.
Clearly my navigational techniques are flawless, so who needs a compass anyway? This next island also lacked any skeletons. I grew tired of being a slow nerd with a sail, so I used half a jerry can of fuel to boost my speed, and I also whipped out my binoculars and had a peek at the islands I was exploring. By this point, I'd visited so many flamin' islands and found so much flamin' absolutely nothing, I was getting a little sick of it.
Yes! Yes! A structure of some description. Finally.
I was so happy to at long last find a dead idiot.
Oh, no way. I found Wally.
Ah, Wilson, my best buddy. Finally, we reunite.
There we go, another dead guy. That is the second variety of remains, a nice big dodgy palm tent. That was a successful expedition. I've officially explored the entire bottom half of the map. So much around here, and then finally found some remains. One more survivor remains up here somewhere. But now that I'm back, I don't want to leave for 10 days, because I got multiple achievements to go for. I want to go 10 days without eating fish, I want to go 10 days without eating meat, and I want to spend 10 days on the one island without leaving.
I just spent a couple of hours on the seas, and now it was time to spend a few hours stuck on my home island. 10 in-game days. The plan was to eat potatoes, coconuts if necessary, and I had rations as a backup if things looked dire. I just needed to avoid eating meat and fish, and I needed to stay put. Beyond that, I was going to be as productive as possible. I'd saved a lot of tasks knowing this time was coming, so I had plenty to do.
So I should get the achievement around 2 p.m. 10 days from now.
I attempted to hang Wally up on a hook, but it sadly wouldn't let me, so I put the lantern up there instead. I'd found 2 koalas and a kura on my recent travels, so I planted those. I was pretty sure the potatoes would be plenty, but I figured I might as well to be safe. I spent day 50 unloading the biggest raft haul yet.
14, 24, 34, 44... 54, 64 wood logs, which could be turned into about 250 wood sticks. 171 wood sticks here as well. There's 50 rocks, another few rocks, 50 coconuts. I've also got like 150 fibrous leaves, and then this is a bunch of palm fronds which I need to chop up.
It ended up being quite a few palm fronds, about 137 total. The potatoes don't begin spoiling until you harvest them, so I only harvested when I wanted to eat, which sadly meant my fuel production line was on pause, but it was for the greater good. On the morning of day 51, I earned a momentous one.
Hey! Survived for 50 days. Nice. 9 achievements to go.
Now that I'd unloaded the raft, it was time to pick up a bunch of those sticks and finally build my house. I'd left my house half built because I knew I'd need stuff to do while I was stuck at base getting the 10 days achievement, so now it was my time to shine. I planned out a side entrance next to the little cove where I was fond of parking my raft. I liked how these half walls allowed for a lovely ocean view, so I slapped a bunch of those in. I stopped for a cheeky potato, and I thought they restored 2 squares, but I soon realized it was actually more than that, so I was definitely going to be fine food-wise. Meanwhile, the house sort of had walls now. I was very pleased when the rains began because that helped me water the crops, but I was displeased with how much trouble I was having placing a roof. I don't think the roof pieces wanted to go above the half walls, and I think the fact that I built the side of my house out of wedge floor pieces was confusing things too. I fiddled around for a while but didn't make much progress. I observed the rain had watered my crops 2 dollops worth.
It just won't let me build a roof on it anyway. How do you build roofs?
And I decided to make a dodgy flat roof.
Now it wants to let me? What? Because I've done this weird floor? The roof is screwed.
Also, I'd already used up the majority of my sticks.
Okay, we're gonna improvise. We're gonna adapt. We're gonna overcome. Oh, it's working now. Yes. This is what we need. Alright, did I just max out craftsmanship? I did. I think that means I get all the materials back.
I'd finally hit craftsmanship level 7, which does indeed mean that when I destroyed stuff, I'd get 100% of the materials back. Great news. I officially used up the 170 or so sticks, so I began chopping up the logs for more.
I think I outsmarted the stupidity of my smartness. You know what I'm talking about? I did. I outstupided my stupid design, and now I think I figured out a way to make the walls work.
I am a genius. That night, a potato regrew, and I'd barely gotten through 4 of the 9 potatoes, so I decided to start making more fuel, as it was clear I had plenty of food. I put some lighting up, as I had a few lanterns stored up for this very moment, and soon I was finished.
It's kind of ridiculous, and I need to destroy that thing off the roof, but whatever. Okay, loom and tanning rack now inside. Moved the furnace over here. Got some random storage over here and here. It's on like really crappy angles because it doesn't let you place them properly. I don't know, who cares? Alright, well, that's the glorious building.
Look at the ocean views. Absolutely gorgeous.
Now, there is also an achievement to craft one of each item on the same island. Now, when you craft, it does actually tick off stuff that you've made. So anything with a tick next to it, I have made before.
But it was time to make the rest. I started with the brick station. Everything I'd crafted so far, I'd tried to make on this island. And part of the reason I collected materials like a maniac was for this very moment.
Fishing rod, crude bow, arrow, done. Brick scrap, spear gun. Can't believe I never used this. Why would I use it when I can just throw crude spears like a maniac?
You get the idea. I made heaps of stuff.
So I can sit on my chair at my table and look out to the glory of the sea. Wow, look at this beautiful structure, man. Look at that great thing sitting on top that I forgot to take down.
Most of the furniture and building stuff I destroyed immediately to get the materials back.
Oh, it's a sleeping bag. Wait, what? Oh, dude, I could have just slept on this wherever I wanted.
Don't I look silly making shelters on 300 different islands for no reason?
Craft a sleeping bag, not bad.
When I got to the corrugated furniture, I made a shelf and destroyed it and then made it again over and over again until I nabbed an achievement. Metal went flying everywhere in the process.
Yep. Nice. I can just cheese it by destroying the same thing over and over again. Okay, so that's all the crafting stuff done.
I then moved on to the consumables.
Alright, so that's one I can't do because I gotta go find a lionfish somewhere.
But I was able to knock over all of the others. The story stuff was all done, the farms were all done, so it was time to move on to the vehicles. I built a wooden raft base here and went nuts putting all sorts of stuff on it.
Kinda wish my raft was made out of brick.
At the end, I was unable to destroy this section, so my raft now had a poopy tumor. That was all the vehicle stuff done, except the barrel base, because I needed to go find another barrel to make that. And the final section to tackle was the building section, so I got busy building. This is the section that needed by far the most work, so it took quite a while as I built and then immediately destroyed heaps of different building parts. Things got a little out of hand once I got to the brick roof pieces.
Oh dude, I think I just created a glitch. I just found a glitch. This is not getting destroyed. I'm duplicating bricks. Maybe I can make a brick house.
I don't know what happened there, but yep, infinite brick scrap. And I'd been thinking a brick house would be pretty cool, but you'd have to collect so much flame and clay. Well, not anymore. This was my chance. I'd made all of the building pieces except for 2, by the way. I needed container parts to make the final 2, so I now had just 4 things left to craft to finish the craft all items achievement. And before finishing off the brick house, I needed to make many piles.
Dude, how many times am I gonna have to do this? I thought I already made heaps. Okay, there we go. As soon as I start to complain, I get the achievement. Perfect. Craft 100 item piles. I probably just did 50 piles.
Okay, back to the brick house, because I'd done all I could possibly do towards the achievements, and I still had several days to kill to hit the 10-day mark. Oh, blessed floating roof thingo, rain down delicious bricks upon my head. Here I go building the final piece of the brick house. And get ready for a very weird jump scare into volleyball insanity.
Alright, there we go. This... The incredibly strange shrine to Wally is done, complete with lots of technological offerings for some reason. I don't know. Imagine they just put this in the game. You arrived on an island and there was a weird house like this. You walk in, it's just got all this crap. And Wally in the middle, basking in the glory. That should be canon for Wally.
You try and come up with a better use for my infinite brick glitch. I'll wait. Besides, it's better than dumping all my useless vehicle parts behind a bush.
It's not weird at all. It's perfectly normal. The only other thing I need to do beyond the achievements is
to max out my skills. Harvesting and craftsmanship were already at level 7. Physical was almost there, but I wasn't even level 6 for hunting and cooking. I had a lot of work to do, so I began stabbing stuff and cooking stuff. I was pretty sure going into the shallows wouldn't count as leaving the island, but maybe this was a little risky.
You only need 5,860 to get to level 6, and then you need another almost 9,000 to get to level 7. Okay, that's kind of brutal. The sardines and crabs only give 5 experience. Oh, dear.
The cooking experience gain seemed less rough, but I worked out that if I only caught small fish, I'd have to catch 1800 in order to reach max level hunting. That is a lot of fish.
I'm only now level 6. So I've got literally just shy of 9,000.
I needed somewhere to put all these fish, so I decided to donate them to Wally, mixed in with the vehicle parts. As I was building these stairs, I finally hit the max physical level, and I used those stairs to at last get rid of this silly protrusion on the roof. And when I slept through the night, the morning of day 59 greeted me with exactly what I'd been waiting for.
Oh yeah, there we go. Woo, I'm very glad all of those worked. If one of those bugged somehow, or I did something wrong somehow, it would have been a massive headache. But go 10 days without eating a fish, go 10 days without eating meat, and spend 10 days on one island, all knocked over. Huge.
Finally, I could eat delicious meat once again. I'd been making fuel this entire time, by the way, so I kept that up. This blessed ship had gifted me with heaps of loot in the early game, and it served me well once again. I already had 2 barrels back at the island, but I claimed a third and made a barrel raft base. I caught a lionfish, and I stole this container door and container panel, which I began lobbing all over the place.
Holy dooly. I mean to throw them that far.
I made shark repellent using the lionfish, and I built a shipping container wall and door.
Yes, I got it. Nice. Oh, I was worried again. I was worried that something hadn't been crafted on this island. I don't know how strict that is, but we're all good. That's a huge achievement.
Just 2 more achievements to go.
I can't be bothered breaking this down, so I'm just going to leave it here. This can be the, yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's beautiful.
It was then time to spear fishies like an absolute lunatic. I speared so many fishies. Slowly, my hunting level climbed, 5 experience per little fishy at a time. Sharks give 50 experience, so I took on a couple of those, but quickly realized I could catch 10 small fish way faster than it took to kill 1 shark. So spearing sardines, archerfish, and discuses was actually more efficient for XP gain. I also cooked stuff using my original smoker plus a second I built inside my house. But I soon realized you have to stand near your cookers in order to gain experience from them. So I think I missed out on a lot of the XP while I was out spearing fish. And I don't know what to say, except it's no exaggeration. I literally had to catch almost 2,000 fish. And so I did. Here's a pile I intended to cook later. On day 63, after well over an hour of this, I evolved my strategy. I used the shark repellent and breath boost I made, and began focusing on catching cod. Cod sadly still only gave 5 hunting experience, but they yield medium meat instead of small. And medium meat gives more cooking experience, which was going to be very handy when I turned my attention to cooking. I piled up all the medium fish in this weird metal outhouse.
Alright, now we got lots of medium fish. That's good.
By the time I'd piled up this many fish, the game started lagging a bit. Between Wally's shrine and several fish piles, I guess the game was freaking out about all the objects loaded in. I don't know much about optimization, but that is my best assumption. I began filling the chests on my raft with fish to combat the lag. On day 64, after a couple of hours of this, I was close.
Oh, dude, the bar is completely full, but I still haven't leveled up. Yes, there it is. Whee! That was well over 1,000 fishies.
So many fish, such a long grind. Now it was time to cook. I set up a hobo stove to test how many fish you could cook at once on it. And it turns out you just chuck as many as you can fit on there and go nuts. So on day 65, I had 3 of them set up and I went nuts. I skinned so many fish and I dropped all of the meat on the stoves.
Cooking experience is going ballistic.
I didn't want all the cooked meat lying around because I thought that might make the lag worse. So I ate all of it as soon as it was cooked, somehow. I kept at it and I ran out of medium fish, so I moved on to some small. But where the final hunting level had taken 5 or 6 in-game days, the final cooking level took less than 1.
There it is. Alright, I've officially maxed out all of the skills.
The hobo stove strat was insane. On day 66, with an inventory full of water, food, and 8 jerry cans full of extra fuel, I took to the skies.
The map is so weird because north is like that way, so it's a bit weird, but now that I've got a compass on my gyrocopter, much easier to navigate.
It was easier, but I must admit I still got lost a couple of times during this adventure. I went from island to island, checking for the final survivor remains. It took almost an hour.
Oh, here we go. Yes, where's my achievement? Ah! I didn't get an achievement, but I got attacked by a hog. Dude, where's my achievement? The hog's attacking me. Bro, this is so annoying. I can't see. Oh, good. It gave me the achievement. Find all survivor remnants. I went here, and then finally found it all the way over here. I went boom, 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 way, boom, 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 way. I checked every single island, except 2. Okay, we're back on the glorious home island. This thing is still floating and indestructible and giving infinite bricks. I've got all the achievements except 1. I need to survive 100 days.
It was day 68 and I'd beaten the game, done all of the achievements, maxed the skills, and I'd even made a ridiculous shrine to Wally. There was nothing else to do, so I left the game on in the background while writing this very script and doing other work. All I did was sleep through each night and just make sure my character didn't die of hunger or thirst.
Day 100. Day 100. I've had the game open in the background for about 15 hours, I think. All I did was chill in here, eat meat, drink water, refill the thing, sleep, rinse and repeat. So I was just mostly totally AFK. When I sleep, I should get the achievement. There it is. Survive for 100 days. Absolutely beautiful. There is the 100%, people. I spent almost 44 hours in the game. I think about 15 hours of that was AFK at the end. 100% complete.